displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. 10th hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. After a front nine that consisted mostly of heavily wooded and tight and fairly short holes that are less than 300 feet in length, we finally break out into the open, kind of, on the back nine. This is much more open than any hole on the front nine, although there are more open holes to come. This hole is kind of a double dogleg left, and you could take a shorter route to the left, but then you're going to bring more trees into play. And so the most common sense line of play is the route that we're walking right here. There's a public road about 30 feet to the right, but there's a tree line right there, and that's far enough to the right that probably isn't going to come into play. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the park's professor. We are at Tyger River Park. We are in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and more specifically in Duncan, South Carolina. And so we're in upstate South Carolina. There's the basket. Now the 11th tee is behind the basket and across the park entrance road. And there's the view back to the tee. The next 7 holes form a counterclockwise loop around the area north of the park entrance road. And it starts with this hole. This is another long hole, and it is completely open. Some places call this a prairie-style hole. It features a mowed grass fairway with some tall grass on either side of the mowed grass fairway. This hole has 2 baskets. We're going to walk to the yellow basket, which is off to the left. The red basket is an alternate basket, and it's straight ahead. Those 2 baskets are the reason that you see 2 distances at the top of the screen. The 508 feet is to the yellow basket, which is actually the short basket. And then the 580 feet is to the red basket, the one off to the right. We're coming up to the basket now. There's this pile of rocks right in front of the basket. Honestly, to me, that pile of rocks seemed more for decoration. But it's there, it's different. And there's the view back to the tee. Next come the only 2 holes on the back nine that measure less than 300 feet. The 12th hole is more or less another prairie-style hole. It plays over a low ridge. There are 2 trees in front of the basket. There's the big one off to the right, and then a smaller one just off to the left. So you do have to thread your disc between those 2 trees and also under the limbs. Overall, this is a pretty simple, straightforward hole. There's the view back to the tee. The 13th hole is one of only 2 uphill holes on this course. For the most part, this course does not have much elevation, and the only real elevation are a pair of mounds that are probably man-made, and this hole plays up the east side of one of the mounds. As is the case with every hole on the back nine, this hole is pretty open, and really the only defense it has is the mound, the elevation. This is a very steep mound. We're starting up the side of the mound now. And that is the basket you see directly ahead here. There's the view from behind the basket back down to the tee. Hole number 14 is the inverse of the previous hole. It plays back downhill off of the mound, and I'm stepping kind of carefully here as we're heading downhill because it is pretty steep to get off of this mound. This is a very open hole until we get right up near the basket. And when we get close to the basket, what you're going to see is that, in fact, the basket is surrounded on 3 sides by a bunch of small trees. The only clear approach to this basket is from directly in front. And so even though you're throwing downhill and you should be able to get some decent distance on your tee shot, you need some accuracy too in order to be able to set up a birdie opportunity. Here's the basket, and you can see all of the small trees around here now. And there's the view back uphill to the tee. The 15th hole is the longest hole on this course, and it is a par 5. There are several long holes on this course, but this is the only par 5. The fairway is reasonable width, but there is some dense woods off to the right, and so you definitely don't want to miss there. Also, there are a couple of twists and turns coming up in the fairway. We're going to dogleg first to the left, go slightly uphill, and then dogleg to the right, and go through a slightly tighter area with some large trees. This hole is a worthy par 5, especially if you play from the back tees. It would take 2 and probably 3 really good throws to get up close to the basket and set up a birdie opportunity. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching. Parking full time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. Also, if you like this sort of thing, please click the like and subscribe buttons. I took a vow many years ago not to take any monetary compensation for anything I do for this project, and so the only thing I get for making any of these videos are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments, and I do appreciate all of those things. We're going through the tighter area with the big trees now, and now you can finally see the basket up ahead here. This would be the signature hole on this course, except for the hole that's coming up a couple of holes from now. But I did definitely remember this hole. It's a real handful. There's the basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 16th hole has both 2 tees and 2 baskets. There's a left and right tee, then there's a yellow regular basket and a red alternate basket. We are going to walk from the right tee to the yellow basket. The yellow basket is on the side of the mound off to the right, and therefore it makes this hole play very similar to the 13th hole. The red alternate basket is in the cluster of trees that's ahead and off to the left. I captured this video on Tuesday, April the 23rd, and it was a gorgeous day with temperatures in the low 70s and a little bit breezy when I came here. You see there's this little stone fort, I guess you'd call it, right here in front of the basket. And that adds a little bit of strategy. It prevents you from trying to roll in or bounce your disc into the basket. Now we get to this park's signature hole, the 17th hole. It is a double island hole, both an island green and an island fairway. The islands are the mowed grass areas that you see up here. We're coming down to the island fairway right now. The taller grass areas outside of that are out of bounds, and if your disc lands there, you have to throw from a drop zone. Personally, I find the islands a little bit contrived, although I know some other people really enjoy this sort of thing. If you have a really big arm, then what you can do is you can try to throw all the way up to the island green in just one throw, realizing that if you miss the island green, you're going to head to a drop zone, and that drop zone is close to where you would have ended up if you had laid up anyway. Me personally, I don't have that big of an arm, so I had to play this hole conventionally. We're coming up to the island green now, and you can see that this basket is on a pole that is twice as long as a typical disc golf basket pole, and so that just adds to the intrigue and unconventionality of this hole. There's the view back up to the tee. The 18th and final hole is back on the south side of the park entrance road, and it's another fairly long and mostly open hole. It plays slightly uphill. There's another park road off to the right on the inside of what is a slight dogleg right, and even though there is a row of trees separating the fairway from that road is still a little too close for comfort. Overall, I really like this course. Spartanburg County Parks have an excellent set of disc golf courses, and this one is competitive in that set. It's not quite my favorite course in Spartanburg County, mainly because the 2 nines on this course to me seem very unbalanced. All of the short and heavily wooded holes are on the front 9, and all of the holes on the back 9 are mostly of the longer and more open variety. And so I take a little bit off due to the lack of balance, but in spite of that, this is a really good course, and I do recommend that you come and play here. The basket is up here on top of this little hill, and the parking lot's only a couple hundred feet beyond the basket. I had no real issues following the course route on this course. The only place I had a little bit of an issue is between hole number 10 and 11, where you cross the park road. There's the 18th basket, and there's the view back to the tee. That is the end of the course. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.